Welcome to Zone 5B here in the front yard of my Colorado garden. That is currently post tulip and bulb blooming, pre-lily blooming, pre-gladiolus blooming, and pre-grass sprouting. You'll get to see the whole thing. What I wanted to show you in particular was really not the mess that is the front yard, which we are trying to reseed with the grass, but more this is where we are with the tulips. You can see in the back what's totally done now are the exotic emperors. They have completely dried out. They are done. Behind them you'll see some new, these are gladiolus from last year actually coming up. You'll see here, these are some lilies that I had last year that I actually scaled and just threw some scales in the ground. These ones that already have the buds on them are probably the original lily bulbs that that I left mostly intact. And then over there is greenery coming up amongst the dying tulip foliage from new lily plants. So I'm kind of thrilled about that. Here's specifically too what I wanted to let you see. I've got some. These are some of the corms that I just pulled out of pots. What we have here, this is from a muscari. I think this is from a muscari latifolium, the one that has more of the tulip shaped leaves instead of the grassy leaves. This here is, I think, a leftover, a corm that came out from crocus. And let's take a little look here, because this is pretty fascinating. So this was the original crocus bulb, we'll call it. That's what I think it is. And then on top of it, these are the new corms for next year. They just pop right off of the old dead corm. The corm from last year, I think it's not going to bloom again, but these new little tiny corms have come off of it. And then this is just a dried out little husk. This one here is, I think, from that muscari latifolium. It looks like it's split, right, in half, and not even just in half, because you can see tinier ones too. So I think this is how they propagate, and we'll see if I'm right, because I'm going to try to save these until next year. I'm going to look up on the internet here to see if I can find out the best way to do it. I've got a paper bag ready. I'm not sure if it is going to go into like the basement to be a little cooler, or if they would prefer to be just in the garage hanging out in the heat, but we'll find out. And another interesting thing about propagation, so this was originally a bud from a crocus. It is filled with seeds. The seeds are little and black or brown. Here's one that is open, and this would be just from a crocus. It's already dropped some of its seeds, but I think there's one left here to show you right there. And now it's fallen into the ground, and it will hopefully propagate for next year. So the crocus and the muscari seem to propagate pretty well. I have not pulled up any of the tulip bulbs here to see what happens there. I do know from what I saw last year that the gladiolus, which here, knock on wood, are not completely thrip eaten yet, but they have the same kind of setup as the crocus, where the old bulb sits underneath the new bulb, and it's just a dried out old bulb underneath that you can just pop off like this. So we'll see what happens next year. Thanks for joining me.